Hi everyone, welcome to the MBA 627 Advanced Research Project lecture. My name is Dr. Derajat Semma. In this class, we will go in detail to cover components of chapter 1 of your research. The agenda for this lecture state here that we're going to go into a brief history of your study, how you put together your chapter 1, which by most researchers considered as the GPS for your research, because this is the area where the dissertation or PhD students spend years, probably between 9 months to 1 year, to formulate chapter 1, because it has everything you need to go further and dig into your research world. In this chapter, brief history is one component, problem statement is another one. You need to define your problem statement, identify your research questions, formulate your hypothesis, do your theoretical framework, and also identify the expected outcome. Again, chapter 1 is key for the remaining part of your work, and we will go slide by slide and discuss these 5 major components of your research. Like what I said earlier, picking your own research topic gives you an idea, or gives you probably like the energy that you will be passionate about it, and you will continue because that's the area which you want to take. Before you start your research, you need to have at least some idea of what you want to do. I know this is probably the most difficult and yet the most important part of your research projects. In the last several years, students have been concerned with answering questions that other people have set, and again, formulating and clarifying the research topic is the starting point of your research project. And once you are clear about this, means that once you know what type of research you wanted to do, then you will be able to choose the appropriate research strategy and data collection analysis techniques, the formulating clarifying process, and how to analyze your data, and then how to interpret your data. But the formulating and clarifying process is, of course, time consuming, and probably take your time of between 3 to 6 weeks, if it is if you have a full-blown semester, or a couple of weeks if you are working on 8 weeks interval. Alright, so let's go to the component of dissertation. Of course, it's the important part is chapter 1. It's difficult to formulate. Students spend the majority of their time trying to put together the introduction, the statement of the problem, the purpose, the research questions, hypotheses, theoretical definitions, limitations, assumptions, and the whole 9 yards. The statement of your problem presents the problem addressed by the researcher. That, like what I said, that every research started with a problem, and formulating that problem is a challenge. The purpose of the study is also need to be explained, because you need to identify, or you need to explain why you are determined to take this research, and then you need to tell your reader why. And your research questions, your hypothesis, and also your theoretical framework. But before you start the process, just step back and ask yourself the following questions, or probably do some soul searching, or some SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is just do a little bit of analysis of on your strengths, on your weakness, on your opportunities, and on the area of threat that you think will have an impact on your research. And when you're doing that, ask yourself where you are, or what are your strengths. Means that ask, like, what am I good at, what do I know, what are my area of experts. Remember, research is composed of at least at least three major components. One, like what I said, theory. You need to know your theory very well, so that you will have you'll have good opportunity to explain. Also, you need to know your methodology. Means that you need to know some sort of statistics, and theory of statistics, analysis techniques, the kinds of research, and so methodology is another area that you really need to know. And how detailed are you, do you know your topic? Okay. Means that some people work on the topic they were working on their research for years. And when I say topic area, means that if you are an accounting major, or if you are a global logistics major, or if you are business major, how deep you know about your area, how comfortable are you living in that area for the next several weeks, months, or years. And also ask your professional practice. um, are you, have you worked on that area in the past? Did you see any issue on that? Do you see any potential impact of your research on the body of knowledge in your domain? So the research is composed of those four major areas, and it's up to you to connect all those four dots. So start with an honest and self-assessment, and strengths whatever you have, and work toward completion or mastering whatever you are lacking. Ask questions, or seek an advisor. At the same time, also read more. So it's important to do a kind of a reality check at the beginning of your chapter one process, or your research process. Okay. um, this slide gives you kind of high level recommendation of what other researchers suggest. You start with your research problem, of course. You start with your problem, and read chapter 5 of recent completed research. This is interesting. Why are they recommending you to read chapter 5? The answer is clear. In your chapter 5, you have recommendations, conclusions, and recommendations. And in your recommendation section, you need to provide, many researchers provide the potential area for future research, because remember, their research cannot and will not solve the problem alone. They may start with one part of the problem, and then as they move through the research process, they found out that there are other problems associated to that particular research. Since they have already agreed to deliver a specific or focus on a specific scope, what they would do is, okay, this is the part I did. This is what I found. However, during my research process, I discovered that this and this and this are areas of potential research that could be done in the future. So, if you're smart, while you are working on your chapter 1, find similar projects. Find projects that have been done in the past and read their chapter 1. That's what it says, this bullet, the second bullet point. Read chapter 1 of the recent research paper on your field, because that will give you an idea, or that will give you, if you, especially if you run out of topics, or if you can't make your mind where you want to go and then which topic you want to do. I think this is the right place to start. Of course, make sure that the problem is important, that we discussed that. Ensure you can address the problem in your lifetime. Well, remember, we only have limited life in this time, in this world, and make sure that whatever you pick is manageable. Whatever you pick is can be achievable during your time, because this is not your life. You have other lives, family, work, commitment. So don't make yourself kind of a person who live on this research. Of course, it's important, but remember, manage properly and define your scope. Okay, have a clear path: the problem, the purpose, the theory, research, and if you don't have that clear path, then you will stumble at some point, or you may probably get into challenges because the view may be blurry, and you may tempt to change your topic from here and there. Okay, so your research purpose, problems, that, and then listen to your chair and your research advisor, because they're the one who's going to give you their opinion. Oftentimes, for scholar practitioners who've been working in the past and who pretty much develop their ego by giving instruction to their employees, and when these people come to academic area, it is difficult for them to listen to others' suggestion, because they're not they didn't get used to it. And oftentimes you see conflict during the initial phase of the research, because they wanted to do their own way, and they got into conflict when the professor said, no, this is something you should do. So remember this. I would like to mention one specific method of identifying your research, and or picking your research topic from the book, research method for business students, written by Saunders and Lewis. What they suggest is that you have to select at least 5 to 6 projects that you like. Okay, and for each of these projects, note down your first thought in response to 3 questions. Means that you put together 3 questions, and you kind of tally those questions for the 6 topics you have selected, to narrow down which specific topic you want to pick. Okay, the first one is, what appeals to you about the project? What's cool about the project? Why do you pick that project? What is good about the project, and why is the project good? Okay, and after the 6, they said select 3 projects that you do not like. So you're gonna pretty much eliminate the 3 of them. And for each of these 3 projects, note down your first thought in response to these questions. Okay, if response for different projects are the same or cannot be clearly expressed, then it doesn't matter. What do you don't like about the project, what's bad about the project, and then why the project is bad. Okay, so you have now categorized into two groups, and then you can narrow down to a specific one to reach to your dream project title. So this is one way of finding your or narrowing down your project. Another one, they recommended that they use relevant trees, which is another method. Brainstorming is another technique that they want you to consider, and then also Delphi techniques, and using the literature review from past, searching the literature, scanning the media, and then also discussing with colleagues, friends, and then university tutors for a possible topics. All right, let's talk about formulating a research question. That is, in my view, the center point of your chapter 1. A researchable question is an uncertainty about a problem that can be challenged, examined, and analyzed to provide a useful information. Of course, you start with your research question because you picked your topic and you wanted to explore further your topic by formulating your research questions. A successful research project depends upon how well a researcher formulates the research questions based on the problem faced in a day-to-day research activities, and then the possible outcomes. So when you design your research, then you're pretty much asking yourself whether the topic is relevant or researchable or significant, and also you need to kind of ask one, two, or three really provocative research questions that will help you to explore or see the world from left to right. So your research questions are pretty much your kit for further identifying how you conduct your research and how you collect data, or how you analyze your topic. Some define research question as a statement that identifies the phenomenon to be studied. This is a very good definition, because it is as a statement that identified the actual phenomena that you're going to study, whether it's social science or natural science, or whether it's a combination of them, whether it's pure research or applied research. You're going to use that as a statement to identify the area where you want to do research. And another recommendation is that to develop a strong research questions from your idea, because the questions comes from your idea, then you should ask yourself the following questions. Do I know the field and its literature well? I'm coming again and again, underlining the importance of literature, because without literature, whether you have a wonderful research questions, you're not going to go anywhere. The second question is, what are the important research questions in my field? You may have 10, 15, but you're going to focus on the top 3 or 4. What area need further exploration? Sometimes you may have research that are partially addressed, and then you need to pick the part that is not yet been explored. Could my study fill a gap, lead to a greater understanding? That's also another component. Has a great deal of research already been conducted in this topic area? Again, reviewing your literature. Has this study been done before? If so, is there a room for improvement? That's why we recommend our students to go and read the previously completed research paper on their subject to make sure that they have an opportunity to further take the previous research to the next step. And then it's important and it's very, very recommended. Is there things or is the timing right for this question to be answered? Is this a hot topic or is it becoming obsolete? Remember, research is it's kind of, we're living in a fast-paced economy, and your research question which you consider is like the top priority or active or current would be obsolete in the next couple of weeks. So make sure that you have that. And would funding source be interested? If the proposing a service program, is the target community community interested? And of course, the last thing is, will my study have a significant impact in the field? So these are a couple of questions that you need to ask before you formulate your research questions, and then going to the next. All right, now we successfully define or identify our research questions, and then the next step is formulating the hypothesis. And as we did for research, we're going to define what hypothesis is. A research hypothesis is a statement of expectations or predictions that will be tested by research, which is a statement of relationship between variables you want to test, expectations based on what the literature indicates about the relationship between the variables. It also stated in terms of a null hypothesis, means that there is no difference or no change, and in a research hypothesis, which we also call an alternative hypothesis, provides statement to to fit the difference. And your hypothesis also includes measures that specify how variables will be identified or a few suggestions on how you formulate your hypothesis includes, number one, like what we did, like what I was telling you again and again, be sure to read on the topic to familiarize yourself with it before making a final decision. A research hypothesis is more than just a topic. So it has two elements, variables that are in relation to each other. Remember that within the word hypothesis is the word thesis. Your hypothesis is what you propose to prove by your research. As a result of your research, you will arrive at the conclusions, a theory or understanding that will be useful or applicable beyond the research itself. So it's important to kind of pay attention on your hypothesis. Avoid judgmental words in your hypothesis. Means that value judgments are subjective and are not appropriate for a hypothesis. And then the other one is, your hypothesis must involve an issue or questions that cannot be answered exclusively by the discipline of law. It means that you need to you should try to limit your inquiry into the literature of 2 or 3 disciplines, because it is best to choose a hypothesis where you already have some level of familiarity with the discipline that are most relevant to the topic. So when you write your hypothesis, make sure that you follow the steps, and then you also revisit your research questions, your purpose, and then the problem, and then everything will be easy for you. All right, the last component of your chapter 1 is finding the right theory or the right theoretical framework that will support your research. Theories are defined or are explained that they are formulated theories are basically formulated to explain, predict, and understand phenomena, and in many cases to challenge and extend existing knowledge within the limits of critical boundings assumptions and the theoretical assumptions. So theories are pretty much the base for your research, and the theoretical framework is the structure that can hold as or support a theory or a research study. Means that the theoretical framework introduces and describes the theory which explain why the research problem under study exists. So when you think about theory, it's kind of, you have to think about if the foundation of your research, and it gives you kind of very good very good start point. um, a theoretical framework, of course, consists of concepts together with their definitions and existing theory or theories, more than one, that are used for your particular studies. The framework must demonstrate an understanding of theories and concepts that are relevant to the topic of your research paper and that you related to the broader fields of knowledge in the class you are taking. So, the theoretical frameworks are the foundations, and students struggle linking their research with some theories. Oftentimes I had to have I had to go back and review their research topic and explain to them in a kind of in a great detail why the theories are kind of vague at the beginning, but once you grasp the concept, once you know clearly what your research is, then it's you will find the theories really helpful. um, they are not something that is found readily available in literature. That's the challenge. Okay, students have to review courses or readings and and literature review for theories and analytical models that are relevant to the research problem they are investigating. And that's why, because there is an exposure for this kind of work in the past. So when students first start their research and they say, what is the theory and what has that theory has to do with my research? But in taking a big picture, of course your theory is your foundation, and it gives you confidence that your research is built on a rock solid foundation. All right, okay. So what's the importance of theory? Why do we care about that? Some resources identify the the importance of the theory in strengthening your research in various ways. And this slide covers a few of them, and then I'm going to go over with with one or two of them there. So, because it's an explicit statement of theoretical assumptions, permits the readers to evaluate them critically. Remember, your end result or your customer for your research is the people who read your paper, the people who are involved in your domain. So it's important that you give them a very good foundation for your research. The theoretical framework, of course, connects the researchers to the existing knowledge. Remember, knowledge is power. So guided by a relevant theory, students are given a basis for the hypothesis and then choice of a research method. Another important contribution of theory to your research is articulating the theoretical assumptions of a research study forces students to address questions of why and how. It also permits students to move from simply describing a phenomenon observed to generalizing about various aspects of the phenomena. And the last one is having a theory helps you to identify the limits of those generalizations, and a theoretical framework specifies which key variables includes a phenomena of interest uh, exists. So remember, a good theory in social science is of value of precisely because it fulfills one primary purpose: to explain the meaning, nature, and challenge of a phenomenon often experienced but unexplained in the world in which we live, so that we may use that knowledge and understanding to act in more informed and effective way. I like this summary provided by the research department at University of California, I guess, and their conclusion is: remember, it may take a little while, but pay attention to your theory and find out that which theory fits to your research, and you're ready to go. Here is some example of some theoretical framework that the author used in one of the researches. The emotional intelligence theory, and then the theory of leadership. So you may pick the one or two of theories, or you may probably go back and review from the time where that theory started, and then you can actually pick and choose to narrow down which theory you want to use. So it's important, and it's important to pay attention on the type of theory you're going to use, how you link your theory with your research question, with your hypothesis. And this chapter, remember, chapter 1, or your GPS, is the most difficult part from the remaining study, because it is in chapter 1 that you squeeze your brain, you focus, you pay attention, narrow down your research topic, and identify one topic that you are interested and passionate. This is this chapter where you define how you conduct your research, means that how you identify your problem statement. Whether it's a gap analysis, whether it is finding the relationship between two variables, but you identify your research. And then to support your research problem, you will narrow down a couple of research questions. It's that a high level research questions. This could be 2 or 3, and we discussed that, how you formulate your research questions, and then what are the importances. Then, to support your research questions, you formulate your hypothesis, which is pretty much a statement of your research, and that hypothesis will have at least 2 variables to test, and you will formulate using the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Once your hypothesis is completed, then the next step is the difficult one, which is linking your research to an existing theories or theoretical framework. Once you define that, then the last component of your research is, okay, now I'm here in chapter 1, looking the horizon way down. What are the expectations out of my research? So you can kind of, with 50-70% certainty, you may say that the expected outcome of this research is this. You don't know yet whether you're gonna accomplish all of this or part of this. However, in chapter 1, as part of your conclusions, you want to tell the reader that, okay, these are my steps to formulate my research questions, hypothesis, theoretical framework, and then based on using all of this good stuff, I'm expected to arrive to a certain point where I can shed light on specific problems or address why one specific phenomena is acting like this, or what are the strengths or the level of correlation between two variables. So it's important to give readers kind of what you are expected to get out of this research. All right, okay, so this is chapter 1. I know you have a lot of questions. I know you will have a lot of questions. I know you're going to spend a lot of time defining that, but at the end of your chapter 1, you will pause and smile, and you may say, you know what, this is a good chapter and good research, and I'm ready and I'm energetic and passionate to move to the next interesting chapter, which is a literature review by some considered as, I'd say, the foundation of your research or the meat part of your research. All right, if you have any question, you let me know. Otherwise, I will end the lecture here and I will see you in chapter 2, which is formulate.